Maverick Viñales arrived at the start of 2026 as KTM's secret weapon. The man who had just humiliated Aprilia from the inside. The rider who had won at COTA with a double from pole. The 10-time Grand Prix winner who was supposed to stand next to Pedro Acosta and turn Tech3 into the most dangerous team on the grid. He is sitting at home right now, missing his own home race, and nobody at KTM is saying what they are actually thinking. To understand what is happening to Maverick Viñales right now, you have to go back to a single corner at the Sachsenring last July. It was not a dramatic crash. No airborne moment, no wall, no ambulance on full sirens. He went down at the German Grand Prix, walked away, and the initial assessment was straightforward. Shoulder injury, surgery required, standard MotoGP timeline. I had 6 to 8 weeks and back on track. Except it never went that way. Viñales tried to return in Austria. The shoulder was not ready. He stepped back. He tried again at Barcelona. Still not right. Misano came and went without him. Motegi the same. The winter break arrived and the official line from the Tech3 camp was measured confidence. The rest has helped. Pre-season testing at Sepang showed a rider who looked sharp, who was pushing hard, who was fast enough to make the paddock believe the nightmare was behind him. And then the 2026 season started in Thailand, and the nightmare was not behind him at all. Buriram, no points. Goiânia, no points. 3 flyaway races into the new season, and Viñales had a single 13th place finish in Barcelona to show for it. His teammate Enea Bastianini was finding his feet. Pedro Acosta on the factory KTM was regularly fighting for the podium, and Viñales was somewhere in the midfield pushing a configuration that was different from every other KTM on the grid, chasing a direction that was not working, and quietly dealing with a shoulder that was doing things it had no business doing 9 months after the original operation. The warning signs were there. They had been there for months, but nobody wanted to say it out loud. The Circuit of the Americas arrived and Viñales went out for free practice 1. He finished 13th. Then he stopped. Not metaphorically, he physically stopped.
Grid. Maverick Viñales, who had some problems earlier on, is now waving his hands. He's now going to have to get off the grid.
Nightmare.
Walked off the bike, walked out of the session, and within hours Tech3 released a statement that explained exactly why the 2026 season had been falling apart in slow motion for the past 8 weeks. And the screw inserted into his left shoulder after the Sachsenring crash had become displaced. Think about what that means in practical terms. Every time Viñales attacked a left-handed corner, every time he loaded that shoulder under braking, every time he tried to force the KTM into a direction it did not want to go, there was a loose piece of metal inside his body doing damage it was not supposed to do. He had been racing like that, trying to develop a motorcycle like that, trying to match Pedro Acosta's pace like that. He said it himself in Austin, and the honesty of it was striking. On the right-hand corners, I'm at the same level, or even better, but on the left, I lose a lot. A MotoGP circuit has left-hand corners on every single lap. He flew back to Europe the same day. The surgery at the hospital of Sassuolo in Italy was completed by Tuesday. Dr. Giuseppe Porcellini removed the screw. Viñales posted a picture of it on Instagram alongside 3 words that said more than any press release. That already feels better. The physical relief was real, but the damage to his 2026 season was already done. And here is the part that makes this story more complicated than a simple injury narrative. Because Viñales had been downplaying the shoulder for months. He dismissed it publicly during pre-season testing. He told the paddock he felt comfortable on the bike. He chose a different chassis configuration to his teammates and committed to a development direction based on feedback he was giving while riding with a loose screw in his shoulder. Nobody knows how much of that data was accurate. And that is a problem that goes beyond Jerez. But the shoulder is only one part of what is happening here, because there is something else sitting inside this story that the paddock has been talking about since the winter. Something that makes the Viñales situation more layered than a straightforward injury comeback. In the build-up to 2026, Viñales made a decision that raised eyebrows immediately. He appointed Jorge Lorenzo as his personal riding coach. 3 MotoGP world titles, 5 Premier Class championships across 2 manufacturers. A career so decorated that his place in the sport's history is completely unquestionable. On paper, bringing Lorenzo into your corner sounds like exactly the kind of move a rider makes when he wants to take the final step. But the problem is that MotoGP's paddock is not a place where paper logic always translates into results. And the reaction to the Lorenzo appointment was not universally positive. There are people inside the grid who believe this arrangement benefits Lorenzo considerably more than it benefits Viñales. That Lorenzo's riding style, brilliant as it was built on a technical philosophy that is almost the opposite of what a KTM requires from its riders. That bringing someone whose entire career was defined by a specific relationship with a specific type of machine into the development loop of a completely different machine is not a natural fit. Viñales has not said anything publicly that confirms these concerns, but the results since the arrangement began have not provided any evidence against them either. 0 points in Thailand, 0 points in Brazil, a disastrous technical direction with the chassis, and then the shoulder revelation that reframes everything that happened in those 3 races. Was the riding coach influencing a development direction that was already compromised by an injury that had not been fully disclosed? That is the question nobody in the Tech3 garage is answering right now. Step back from Viñales for a moment and look at what KTM's 2026 season actually looks like right now. Pedro Acosta is performing exactly as expected, fighting for podiums, pushing the factory KTM to places the machine probably should not be reaching yet, carrying the manufacturer's championship ambitions almost entirely on his own. When KTM works, it works because of Acosta. Full stop. Behind him, the picture is uncomfortable. Brad Binder is not where KTM need him to be. Bastianini is building momentum but is not yet the consistent point scorer the team requires from a second Tech3 entry. And Viñales, the rider KTM signed specifically to be their second leader, the man Pit Bearer publicly described as the right guy to stand alongside Acosta, is sitting at home watching Jerez on a television screen. Bearer has been honest about it. He said it plainly in the week before Jerez. We are not where we want to be. Not with Brad, not with Ania, and not with Maverick. That is a motorsport director publicly admitting that 3 of his 4 riders are underperforming simultaneously. In a season where Aprilia has already shown they can challenge Ducati at the front, and where the 2027 regulations are forcing every manufacturer to fight on 2 fronts at once. This is not a position KTM can afford to stay in for long. The factory has confirmed they believe in Viñales. They want him back. They are talking about a possible factory promotion for 2027 alongside Alex Marquez. The long-term vision is still intact, but the short-term reality is a team running one competitive bike and a grid of rivals who are not waiting for anyone to catch up. Viñales is now targeting Le Mans, the French Grand Prix on the 10th of May. That is the date circled in red inside the Tech3 garage and the date that will tell us everything we need to know about what the rest of his season looks like. Because the question is not simply whether he is physically fit enough to get back on the bike. That part, by all accounts, is progressing well. The surgery was straightforward. The recovery is moving in the right direction. He said himself he will only return when he is at 100%, and there is no reason to doubt that the physical foundations will be in place by Le Mans. The question is what version of Viñales gets back on that KTM. Does he arrive with a clear head, a healthy shoulder, and the kind of freedom that comes from finally riding without pain for the first time since July of last year? Does the genuine talent that produced that Cota double in 2024 that made Aprilia believe they had found their second champion-level rider, does that talent reassert itself when the physical obstacles are removed? Or does he arrive back at a team that has spent the opening months of the season developing the bike without him, on a machine that has moved in a direction shaped by data he was providing while injured, needing to rediscover everything from scratch inside a calendar that is not going to slow down and wait? Le Mans will give us the first real answer, but the full answer will take longer. And the uncomfortable truth sitting underneath everything is this. Viñales is 31 years old. The 2027 regulations reset is coming, and the window to prove he belongs at the front of this sport is getting smaller. So here is what I want to know from you. Is the Viñales situation a straightforward injury story that ends the moment he gets back on the bike at Le Mans? Or is there something deeper going on here? A development direction gone wrong, a coaching arrangement that is not working, a rider who has lost something that may not come back just because the screw is out? Drop your predictions in the comments. Smash that like button. And I will see you in the next one.